and action. Let's get started.
Has this happened to you?
One eternity later.
Gone are the days of feeling powerless. Megan and Allie are here to help. Join them Sunday in Unlocking CET.
Welcome to Unlocking CET. If you want to know how to be self-diagnosing CET or how to be gold star bug reporters, you're in the right spot. So let's meet your hosts.
Hi there, my name is Allie Shareghi. I manage the user support team at Configura. I've spent 2 years helping teams around the world troubleshoot CET and improve their workflows. Joining me is Megan.
Hello, everyone. Glad you could join us today. My name is Megan Hartman, and I am a design integration specialist at HNI. So I do very similar things that Allie does at Configura, but I do it for the lens of HNI extensions like HON, Allsteel, and Gunlock. And I'm very excited to meet you guys and talk about CET. And we're also here to help save that day to really get this troubleshooting out the way so you guys know what to do. So let's talk about troubleshooting CET. So some of the things that will always be helpful in any scenario when you run into an issue is either clearing your cache when you're doing clean start or running an update. So we've all done the clean start. Everyone knows that. We've probably been asked by one of us many times to run a clean start, but have you tried the clean start with clear cache? This is really going to get your CET back in working order, which I'll show you a video here in a second, but also making sure your CET is updated. This ensures that you have better performance, everything is running as it should be, you have all the new features and bugs, and everything is up to date and compatible with the latest updates so that you have everything ready to start going. So let's do a clean start with clear cache. So to do this, you navigate to your clean start menu, as you see here, but look at that middle area. And so here, it's already going to have everything checked for you. That clear cache is checked on, so you don't need to check anything else. And then select delete. It's very important that you don't select anything else, because if you select some other things, you might factory reset your CET, and you don't want to do that if you don't need to. So this is going to delete all that cache items and just really clear it up to get everything ready in peak performance. Just note that when you do clear cache, this will remove completed Photolab renderings that are stored in your CET temporary files. So your drawing settings will still remain intact, but you'll need to re-render those images if you haven't saved them to your computer. So here, we're just running another clean start, because this is, after you do that clear cache, just running that clean start is going to really help it make sure it's all ready to go and get you back to working order right inside CET. So it's very crucial, like we said, to stay up to date, but how do you find the information? So manufacturers are updating pretty often. So make sure you check that update on their briefcases if they post, so you know which version you need to be in. Or if we on support, we're sometimes asking you for that extension version number. So how do you find that? So you go to that help menu and you navigate to the extension details. And then you're going to navigate to the manufacturer that you're looking for. And so once you select that, you're going to look in that right-hand information window, and that's going to really tell you the true version number that we're looking for. So you can see those first three, 1605, like that's just a generic number. We still really also need that third number in the parentheses, the build. So this is what they mean, but doesn't really truly important to you because you don't really need to know. But this is going to be helpful for our manufacturers and on support to know what version you're on. So maybe you have that fix, you just need to run a quick update. So this could be a matter of having a fix or not a fix. So having that update is going to be really important. We have an article here from the Help Center that talks more about the extension details and more in detail if you want to learn more.
Awesome. And we wanted to share with you some troubleshooting steps that are more targeted towards different scenarios. There are 4 topics we will be touching on today. We will be focusing on the catalog downloader, updates, photo lab, and some additional performance tips that will help get your CET in a fast and awesome performance. So we're going to start with the catalog downloader. So the first step to make sure your CET is running at the best performance and the best kind of setup is to have the new downloader turned on. There is an option to run the old downloader, but we recommend the new downloader just because it has all the fixes and features that have been recently introduced. All right. Sorry. When you are using the new downloader and a problem appears, check for activity right away. You might see items still downloading, a sync cycle in progress, or an error message. Seeing activity is actually a really good sign. No activity at all can indicate a more significant issue. If you notice question mark, symbols, or Mario boxes in your drawing, you can refresh the drawing without closing CT by pressing Shift F5. This is especially helpful if symbols are still downloading, but the drawing hasn't refreshed with the changes. You can also do the same shortcut with component tabs as well. And then just a reminder, with new fresh installations of CET, it does require some additional time for those catalogs to download, especially since large manufacturers have catalogs that are quite massive in size. So just giving that enough time to download is going to help you through that initial experience with CET in the catalog downloader. And then that'll segue us into our demo of the tips that we just provided. So to start us out, we'll get this going. So to check if the new downloader is enabled, navigate to the File menu in CET, and then click on the Control panel. Once the Control panel opens, select Catalog, and then at the very top, you should see a checkbox for the new downloader. If it's checked, it means it's enabled. If it's unchecked, enabling it will require a restart of CET, but it will be active the next time CET starts. All right, the easiest way to check the downloader for activity is to open it directly from CET by clicking the blue notebook icon at the top of the screen. Inside the downloader window, there are 3 sections. The top section shows on-demand installations. The middle section lists completed downloads. And the bottom section displays the progress of the sync cycle. Here's a bonus tip. If the sync fails, you can restart the downloader. Close out of the downloader window, navigate to the taskbar tray, right-click the downloader icon, and choose Shutdown. You can relaunch it again by selecting the downloader icon inside CET. Here, you can see it's starting to sync again. Finally, let's look at reloading a drawing with a keyboard shortcut. Simply click into the drawing area, press Shift F5 on your keyboard, and watch as CET reloads the symbols. As easy as that. All right, moving on. Oh, there we go. All right. So next up is updates. To ensure updates are running smoothly, start with a stable internet connection. Make sure you're in a location where your Wi-Fi signal isn't fluctuating or dropping. If possible, a wired connection provides the most reliable and consistent experience. If you encounter errors during updates, try turning off any VPN connections. VPNs can slow downloads because of the way they route and scan data between your computer and the CET servers. Occasionally, you might see a background install failure error. When that happens, select Cancel and Recheck on the error prompt. This forces CT to pull the latest updates directly from the server. If you receive an installation timed out message, logging out of CT and then logging back in often resets the update sync and gets everything moving again. And one last important reminder, ensure your IT team has added the necessary firewall exceptions. CT uses 3 update servers, and 2 of them are located outside of the United States. If those servers aren't whitelisted, your firewall may treat them as a security risk and block updates. All right. We're going to jump over to renderings, everybody's fun topic. All right, if your rendering looks blurry or shows strange colors, we recommend turning off the post-processing settings. Post-processing adds extra effects that can sometimes create unexpected results, and disabling it often just clears up the image immediately. Next tip we have is to begin with neutral settings and then try to make small adjustments as needed. Starting simple often gives you a nice clean baseline, and then you can start to make little adjustments that will improve or maybe degrade the image just depending on what you select. So it allows you to kind of understand what adjustments have been made. If your rendering feels slow or choppy, like you're getting started and it just is taking forever, we recommend using 3D clipping to limit what CET is trying to process. By clipping, it will only segment the visible area that you need, and then it spends a lot less time calculating details outside of that framed section, which speeds things up. And then final tip for you guys, if you notice fuzzy areas or visual glitches, we recommend enabling precise cache. This option forces CET to refresh its stored data and can eliminate those stubborn, blurry spots. And we have a help article here on the Help Center for more tips on renderings. Now, we're going to jump right into our rendering troubleshooting demo. We'll get that going here. When working with post-processing settings, I find it's easiest to toggle them off one by one from the advanced menu in Photolab. Turn each option off one at a time until you find a comfortable starting point for making further adjustments. Bonus tip, you can quickly reset post-processing settings to their default values by clicking Reset in each section. Sometimes it's faster to start fresh with defaults than make small tweaks. If you prefer to use the simple menu, you can select neutral settings here, and it returns everything instantly to default values. Now let's revisit the precise cache setting I mentioned earlier, and that helps clear up fuzzy areas in the drawing. That's located under Advanced Photograph Setup Global Illumination. Finally, from within the 2D drawing space, you can use the Snip to Photolab tool to clip only the symbols you want to render. This will speed up your rendering by having it ignore other not needed areas. All right, moving on. Let's talk about performance readiness. So hardware can play a huge factor in how well CET performs. Your CPU and your graphics card do all the heavy lifting, and if they are underpowered, it will lead to significant performance hits, especially with loading the 3D space or to rendering. We recommend ensuring that your computer meets recommended or max hardware specifications, depending on the size of projects that you work with. Also, it's important to keep an eye on your hard drive space. Some larger manufacturers have catalogs that are 20 to 30 gigabytes in size, so space is incredibly important. And then we also recommend good computer hygiene. Perform a clean start regularly, which allows it to clear the cache and restart CT for you to resolve any memory buildup that might be there. Restart your computer to refresh resources and keep everything running at peak performance. And also make sure that your operating system and your drivers are up to date so you can benefit from the latest fixes and improvements. And here we have a helpful article here at the bottom that you can scan just to see what we have on the Help Center. Now, this is a good topic because we all have to work with one of these options here, especially working as an organization. So for network storage, we try to recommend to work locally when possible. Network connections introduce an element of instability, which can be hard to account for. You can share finished files on the network afterward, but we want to make sure that you're checking for those lock files. That way you're not getting stuck in a read-only status. And then please avoid storing CT documents or the CT catalog folders on a network drive. Since CET requires nearly constant interactions with these folders, it can drag performance down if those folders cannot be reached. And then if you work with cloud storage such as OneDrive, Dropbox, or Google Drive, adjust the sync settings of those applications to update less frequently, or pause syncing of those storage applications while CET is running. Constant syncing often competes for system resources and can slow down processing. All right, on to the next. We have some nice tips for working with larger drawings. So we want to start with preparing your CET, preparing your drawing. So we recommend limiting your drawing scope. That means focusing on one floor plan per file. If you have a multi-floor plan that you need to work on, we recommend putting those into individual drawings. We also recommend cleaning up CAD plans if you're inserting those into your drawings. Ensure that they are under 1 megabyte, since that tends to lead to better performance. Remove unnecessary hatching or extra lines that might contribute to extra processing. And also do the same cleanup for SketchUp files, as those can also be rather large in size. If you are some nice tips to get you into having a clean drawing is to add any accessories like monitor arms, keyboards, etc. into a pick list. That way they don't have to be processed in the drawing and they can be still accounted for in your calculations. This also helps it keep it uncluttered. And then when you're going through and adding your CAD symbols and SketchUp symbols, just try to make sure they're reduced in size. And then as you're navigating through SketchUp's application, check for lower polygon counts and things that are also small in megabytes. All right, Megan?
Yes, and so we also have some great tools right inside CET that helps you with these larger drawings. So utilizing those blocks and component blocks and favorites will help for efficiency in selection, insertion, and editing. Avoid blockception though when you're using blocks. So having multiple nested blocks can cause your drawing to bog down. So try to keep it to 1-2 levels of blocks. But once you reach the 15 to 20 levels, that can be where your CET might run into some issues. Also, when you're working with schemes, you try to embed them just so that they're directly in the drawing and not having to keep pulling from where they're being stored so that everything stays in a working form. You have a lot of things like walls and windows and doors, maybe and other maybe accessories you're using for renderings, maybe freeze those items so that they're not complexing the graphics while you're working in your drawing so that you're in that working space, those items aren't causing it to lag. And also using your part tagging to organize your drawings. So when you're working in calculation to easily filter and keep things in organized fashion, these taggings will help keep things up to date. And then also some settings to keep in mind. The graphic settings, especially in a larger drawing, are going to be super important to check out. So check and modify the settings in the CET control panel. Also, maybe temporarily disable higher graphic settings while you're in the working mode. So maybe when you're ready to render, turn them back on. But it's really keep track of those settings while you're in those larger drawings. And also maybe increasing those autosave frequencies to predict anything from data loss, because when you're in a larger drawing, there could be more prone to a crashing or something of similar fashion. So making sure you have those auto settings on will be super important. We'd also like to take a moment to shout out some sessions. So Michael Beal, the CAD guy, will be doing did a session about how to clean up your drawings, clean up your CAD. So we highly recommend checking that out, recording after the conference, since unfortunately we overlap. And then also another session to check out will be Amanda Adams' Block It Like It's Hot. So her tips on how to use blocks. So how to avoid that blockception and things like that. So her session also will be recorded on up there for you to view. Okay. And we have some more helpful tips out on the Configura Help Center that you can check out to learn more about working with larger drawings. If you have a large drawing that is really dragging and you would like to know what is causing it, Configura has released a cleanup drawing tool that can help point out that larger items and give you the option to remove them in this one easy dialog. Over here at HNI, we have been using this a lot and has helped proven successful in keeping up with performance. You can see here, it's pointing out that it's got some SketchUp items that have that larger file size and some materials. So we're able to go through here and remove them because we would like to keep going and working well. A special note I would like to note is that when you're pointing out materials that this tool will not remove them. You'll have to go do those separately. So that's just something else to note, but this is still pointing out which ones are causing those changes. And then we also like to, while going through troubleshooting, talk about some common issues we see that come through support and how to easily solve them. So if your CET is taking longer than usual to get going, it might be time to take a closer look. First thing we suggest is usually going to the control panel and checking out the extension startup section. This is where you can see all the extensions that are set to load when CET starts. We suggest going through the list and only keeping the extensions you use most often or every day. This way you can speed up the startup process and make it more efficient. If you need to use an extension that you didn't select for startup, it'll load when you open it instead of slowing things down at the beginning. It's a simple way to keep things running smoothly. If you try this out for a while and your CET is still taking a long time to open, don't hesitate to reach out to Configura support, and they can help you try to troubleshoot what might be going on if that did not fix it. And another common issue is some users have been seeing some missing tabs, but they are still selected in their component tab configurator and they're not sure why they're missing. Usually this means that the tab accidentally got collapsed. So all you need to do is right-click the tab toolbar and select expand, and it should bring back anything that was collapsed. Or right-click in the extension tab itself and click expand all or restore. And then our last common issue we like to point out is if you find that your 3D view or your Photolab render is all black, you might be dealing with a familiar culprit, the real-time lighting setting. To resolve this, head over to the control panel and look under graphics. You'll find the checkbox for real-time lighting there. Simply turn off the real-time lighting setting and watch as your scenes come back to life. Turning off this pesky setting should restore visibility and enhance your rendering experience. And here is an article view helpful article from the Configura Help Center that will help have more tips on rendering troubleshooting. Now let's talk about bug reports. So we talked about some troubleshooting. You went through all those steps. Now you're ready to reach out to support. Let's talk about what to do then. So bug reports or email. That's the big conversation when contacting support. Usually we prefer a bug report, and I'll tell you why. Bug reports include essential log files and your drawing, allowing you to provide valuable context to the issue. Log files contain detailed information that may not be immediately visible to you, the user, helping us, the support team and developers, diagnose the problem more efficiently. And it helps get that faster resolution. Submitting a bug report helps us address the issue more quickly, minimizing the downtime and getting you back to working form sooner. The limitations with email and screenshots. While you can contact us via email and screenshots for your drawing, this method makes it more challenging for us to recreate the issue and understand what's going on. This can ultimately lead to longer resolution times and cause more delays in your projects. So for best practice, for the most efficient support experience, please submit a bug report to us. This enables us to assist you more quickly and accurately. And another thing when thinking about when contacting support is whether you should contact Configura support or a manufacturer. So let's go through some helpful guidelines here.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan. So we recommend contacting Configura support when the manufacturer does not have their own support team that's visible on their extension. The issue pertains to CET core function, which could be like Photolab or article views or a numerous list of things that could be wrong, like a tool that you work with every day. And if you are unsure at all of where to direct your inquiry, we're happy to support you here at Configura and review the issue and get it to the right team or manufacturer. And then Megan can share some tips.
So when contacting a manufacturer, this is how you know you're in the right place. Usually, if the manufacturer has a dedicated support team, they would be the ones to go to. Or if the issue pertains to one of their specific products or one of their tools inside their extension. Many manufacturers, such as the HNI brands here, Hahn, Allsteel, and Kimball, have their support buttons conveniently located in their main tab for easy access, while Configura's can be accessed through the Help menu or visiting the Configura Help Center where live chat feature is available for immediate assistance. By following these guidelines, you can ensure that your inquiries are directed to the right support team, leading to faster and more effective resolutions.
Awesome. And then you might be wondering what a bug report includes. A strong bug report always includes log files, drawing files, and any supporting visuals. Logs capture what CET was doing at the time of the issue, while the drawing and CAD files help developers reproduce the exact conditions. Screenshots or short video clips round out the picture by showing the symptoms as you experience them. So the real-time kind of actions. Our developers often refer to videos as the Holy Grail, since it allows them to see the exact moment of the issue, and it might capture behavior that you are not aware of. All right, moving on. So we've put together a bug report template to kind of make it easier to submit a report. So what we would start with is describing the expectations. Describe what you thought should have happened, what the tool was supposed to do, and then detail what happened instead, and try to be as clear as possible. Maybe even explain it in steps, just so that we're aware of kind of how things fell. Next, describe what you have tried. List any steps that you've taken to troubleshoot the issue, whether it be a clean start, restarting CET, restarting your computer, anything. That helps us know where to start when you come into support. And then if you can attach visuals, sometimes we know something happens and you just can't capture it. That's okay. But any picture, any video is really helpful, as we explained before. It just really gives us an indication, a visual indication of what's gone wrong. And then some additional things to be aware of is it would be really awesome, but it's not super duper important to provide a location in the drawing of where this issue occurred. So if you can put a revision cloud around a part that's showing up incorrectly regarding a part that's not allowing you to apply a finish, that helps us really pinpoint the part so that we're not searching around in the drawing and maybe looking at the wrong thing. Also, if you identified a workaround and you were able to temporarily fix your issue, still report it. And let us know what that workaround is, just so we can document it and share it with other users. And then you might notice that we've highlighted and put a little cloud around "you may contact me about this issue." This is a very important setting to be aware of. If you have selected it, that just indicates to the support team that we can contact you about this issue. We can ask you additional questions, and you will be notified if there's updates on the ticket. If that's not selected, specifically with crashes, it may not create a ticket for us to work on our side. So just want to make you guys aware that that is linked to that checkbox. And then another thing that we want to share with you is screen clip tool recommendations. And I'm going to let Megan take it away from here.
Yes, so there are a lot of great tools when it comes to capturing screen clips or recordings, which, like we said, are invaluable when reporting a issue to us. So there's several tools you can use that we recommend. So the Windows snipping tool is built in right in your computer, easy use. So ones that we use over here at HNI, we use Screenpresso, which also is very user-friendly. And then Configura uses Snagit, which we don't have here on the screen, but another one to check out. But no matter what you use, if you use Teams and you record your screen, or if you use Zoom to record your screen, anything you guys can do to get the video or a screen clip of what's going on will help us solve that issue faster. You want to also, you can set these up to have keyboard shortcuts. So looks like Windows can do Shift S, or Screenpresso can do a print screen key, which you can set, I think, either of those to do the same thing, to have them easily accessed. So I know bugs can happen in the blink of an eye, so having that ease of access of a keyboard shortcut to activate it really helps keep that information recorded. And so using these will help get everything right to us. Something to note about Screenpresso and Snagit is that it has intelligent features that recognize the layout of your window. They will outline areas based on the position of your mouse, making it easier to capture exactly what you need. So if you don't want to include your whole screen, this allows that to easily be done instead of having to just draw out the square through your mouse as well. So just some hot tips there. Now, we've been talking about bug reporting, but why is all of this important? So bug reports lacking details cause lots of back and forth, and it can cause delay in resolution and slow things down. And the logs only show one side of the story, so we need to have all that information. So you can see here, having just messages like, I don't know, error, just a clash of the keyboard, really hard for us to decide exactly what went wrong with the issue. But having a bug report like this one with all of the detail of what went wrong, what they expected, what they've tried, really helps us figure out a good starting point to get the drawing figured out and bug fixed faster and easier for us. So now it's your turn. Let's try this out. So a user was about ready to render, but they decided, actually, I want to apply a scheme differently. And so they applied that material. and then they go back to render, and oh my gosh, what is Mickey doing there? So you guys at home, you can write this down for yourselves. Share what you guys think you would include in a bug report. So maybe, as some examples, maybe I went to render, went to schemes, and came back. Just as simple as that's my steps. That's what happened. Maybe talking about specifically what material you applied through schemes, since that was the only thing you changed. And maybe just talking about those steps is going to be really helpful for us to know how to resolve this issue. Now, I don't know how I would solve this issue personally, because what is Mickey doing there? But just always great practice of following exact steps. Kind of think about the peanut butter steps exactly, so we can follow them on our side to see if we get the same experience. And
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, here we are. So Megan and I have this section. It probably won't be helpful for the recording, but we have a section for questions, thoughts, emotional outbursts. Since we're doing this recording, we'll probably just have this so that you can reach out to us at the end via our emails if you have any kind of further questions on this. So I guess we'll move on forward, right, Megan?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. On to the next. All right. So Megan,
Oh, here we go.
what should you have, or what should we have learned here?
Yeah. So through here, you should have learned some troubleshooting. Oh, we got the teacher here making sure you guys are making sure you learn some things. So troubleshooting tips and tricks. That's the first thing we started with. So some things to notably note: the clean starting and updating. Clean starting with clear cache, I apologize, is that extra step for troubleshooting. We've also given you a great bug report template to use when reporting an issue. So we hope you can have that in your tool belt. And also know support is here to help you. We are here to help you figure out your issues. Even if you forget everything we talked about today, we are here to help you and get that issue solved. So let's work together to get your issue solved fast and efficiently to get you on your way.
Couldn't agree more. And here are some resources that we'd like to share with you. So we'd like to start with the Configura Help Center. On the Help Center, there's step-by-step articles and a known issues page, which we will link at the bottom. We have the CET Academy, where we host our training modules, and that's going to be super helpful for sharpening your skills with CET and maybe potentially with other products that we have. We have the CET forums, which is a community-led kind of effort where users can share tips and solutions they have to certain issues. And then there's also individual manufacturer resources. So specifically product-specific support and documentation. Here in the picture, we got Hans' lovely resource center. So we recommend checking those out just so you can see some more product-specific information. And then right here at the bottom, we have a link to our known issues page, something that we just recently started, and we recommend checking it out just in case you're having the issues and you're wondering, hey, is this something that has been reported before? How do I fix it? So recommend checking that out here at the bottom. And then here we are at the actual final slide. Thank you for coming to this session or watching this recording of this session. You can contact Megan at Hartman M at HNI Workplace Furnishings.com or me, Allie Shareghi, at Allie.Shareghi at Configura.com. Please use our QR code to leave feedback. We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions on this specific session. And thank you so much for spending time with us. By combining the troubleshooting steps with detailed bug reporting, we hope you feel empowered to tackle issues as they arise in CET. We're excited to see how you put these practices into action.